not be recorded, you have two options. One would be to leave the meeting, and the other would be to mute yourself and turn off your video. Thank you.
Good morning. I have a title for the talk. The talk is The Five Sciences, generally sometimes called the Five Sciences of Nalanda. Nalanda is the Mahavihara that the Tibetan tradition looks to as the center of learning in India. It was Santarakshita who came to Tibet at the invitation of the King Tree Sundetsen, and was there to ordain the original monks, and started building Samyang. So I can identify with King Tree Sundetsen and Santarakshita, because building a monastery, building a temple, it's not easy. So Santarakshita said, I'm going to call for my friend Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche. So Guru Rinpoche came and helped overcome the obstacles, as Guru Rinpoche has here also for us in Sacramento. And we have the continuing of the Nalanda tradition through King Tree Sundetsen, Padmasambhava, and Santarakshita. So the five sciences are very basically something you can look up, but they generally are listed as valid cognition. So people learn epistemology and learn how to think and learn how to understand what a valid cognizer is for those people that are reading tenets and are going to hang in there. You know what a valid cognizer is. Some people don't like the term valid cognizer as a translation. So please learn Tibetan and philosophy, and maybe you'll come up with another translation. The second science is language. And it's very important in India, as it was in Tibet and here in this country, to be well-spoken, to be able to write, to be able to understand how language works, because primarily Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, teachers and human beings communicate towards language. So the part that's different from Nalanda, from Tibet, is we tend not to memorize things. Whereas in Tibet and even now, people memorize huge amounts. And so the language is also tied in with memory and with mindfulness and realization. Maybe 25 years ago, had the good fortune to meet with Racha Rinpoche here in Sacramento. And he, for those people who know what the Abhidharma Kosha is, the Abhidharma Kosha Karika, literally, he memorized the entire work, among other things. So memorization goes along with language. We have to memorize things or we're in big trouble, right? So, we are in trouble if we haven't. And the next piece, the next science is healing. So medicine is extremely important in Dharma. We have images of medicine Buddha on actually the outer walls, the front part of our temple. At Sarajay, they actually have physicians on hand, and like in a lot of parts of India, they have small little pharmacies. So on campus there, and you can just go up and order almost anything without a prescription. It's interesting. and the pharmaceuticals are a lot less than they are here in the United States. But learning the medical tantras, learning the medicine specifically to become a doctor of Minpa means a long training. Mente Kong is the traditional training institute. It means like Temple of Healing. And some of you met Dr. Khalsan a couple of years ago, and I'd like to bring it back. So healing is extremely important. We can't do Dharma if we're not feeling well, and we intend to keep feeling well. So that is the third. The fourth is creative arts. Generally, in our Mahayana tradition, we're expected to actually be somewhat artistic or appreciate arts or work with our hands to make sasas, to make paintings, to help out with sand mandalas, to paint things, to help build things. All these are the creative arts. So we're expected to be able to learn how to create beautiful things, create a beautiful environment. So it isn't just painting arts, but landscaping and building and architecture, so forth. The fifth one is the one we're most familiar with, the inner science of mind, which entails the meditation and the textual study and the intellectual work, all the way up through Mahamudra and Dzogchen and highest Yoga Tantra. There are 5 more arts. Basically, they have to do with more with language and with astrology. So astrology is one of the 10. When it's expanded, is not Western astrology. It's based upon a more of a Kala Chakra style. If you ask a astrologer in the West to do your chart for you, you're kind of more interested in your personality, right? Where you're this kind of person, and Taurus is like this, and Cancer is like that. But in Asia, generally, the astrology is meant to understand our place in the universe. So, by the way, people are clipping on a little bit to join the meeting late. It's okay to join late. That's fine. It's an open meeting. So astrology is very interesting, but usually it's used to help determine the best time to do something and what the obstacles are. And then to help remove the obstacles, one is expected to do some practices sometimes. So likewise, when people ask for a divination, which is a little different than astrology, then frequently a teacher will require you to do some practice, which is different than in the West, where everything's kind of fatalistic, like it's going to happen no matter what. And it doesn't work that way in Dharma. Things have karmic possibilities, but we have to work to bring them about. So today, though, it's important to point out that all these sciences are requirements from Maitreya, the Buddha Maitreya, in his transmission to his Sangha, for those people that want to become Buddhas, want to be bodhisattvas that help others. So just understanding how to meditate, just understanding text isn't enough. The point is to really blossom, we have to know how to teach, because it's based on teaching and healing. The bodhisattva practice isn't merely about being a good person or just relieving others of suffering randomly. It means we're striving to be professionals and learn all the available technologies and healing arts available at the time. So in that flavor. Of course, the Dalai Lama is willing to be very technological, and people have received Avalokiteshvara empowerment through video and internet. So that's part of these 5 sciences. The sciences, though, are in general part of Nalanda Mahavihara, and Vihara means like a great monastery, which ended somewhere in the 13th century with the Turkish invasions. Nalanda had such an incredible library that it said that the library burned for 3 months after Nalanda was finally destroyed. Monasteries at the time were huge universities, and with gates and walls, and probably to the Turkish invaders looked like looked like a castle, looked like a city, looked like something that needed to be conquered. But effectively, by the next 25, 50 years, Nalanda ceased to exist, and the Tibetan community, Himalayan community, saw it as they're now the holders of that lineage. In our tradition and in Nalanda, we are trying to embrace the secular and the sacred to bring together the relevant sciences of mind and the sciences of technology and the body, and approach Dharma from a secular and sacred way too. So we do learn discussion and debate and teaching how to relate and how to help those that aren't interested in the formal practice of Dharma, just need healing and helping, aren't interested in changing their religious beliefs, but we're interested in finding common ground. So the sacred and sacred and secular coming together is very much in the Nalanda tradition, which we're trying to carry on here at Lions Road Dharma Center and Dona Dargi Temple. The inspiration, of course, in our own lives comes from what we grew up with and what our aspirations are in this country and living our lives. So that's part of our Dharma training. I'm trying to do everything in my life as a Dharma teacher and therapist and father and husband and business owner. So a well-rounded life is what my teacher said would be best for me, and even had monastic training. So that's part of the Nalanda world, is that we're available for governing, we're available to resolve disputes, we're available to teach, we're available to heal, and we're also good business people. So one of the reasons Dharma spread well in Asia is that right livelihood aspect of the Eightfold Path was emphasized, and people took that to heart. I just have one aspiration left, is to do my Wear Kindness fashion business, which will probably end up starting out as t-shirts. So that's my presentation that's still left in this life. And I hope to start that soon. So with some fashion that is based on wearing kindness, W-E-A-R, and kindness. So our business practices are enormously important in our tradition. We're not against business, we're not against organization. We're integrating it all. After the time here, this talk is, we're going to have book club, and the book we're discussing is Sleeping, Dreaming, and Dying, which is a very interesting book. It's recordings of meetings in Dharamsala. in the 80s where the Dalai Lama was talking about profound nature, mind, and profound transitions like death and dreaming. So I think that's starting at 12:30, and if people want to listen in for that, that's fine. But if you haven't read the book, you can still say hi and still come on. I want book club for the rest of the year to be really interested in science and Dharma and bringing those two together. I'd like to mention that sitting with me in the room here at Middle Way Health, our technician is Matthew Cruz, and my personal technical assistant is Connor, and Patty and Michelle are here recording also. So they didn't get on, but I want people to know they're here. Michelle will be in contact with people because I've asked her to help with membership and contacting Sangha members and seeing how they're doing. Memberships, in a way, the most important, how we connect and how we form community. She'll have her work cut out for her because she's planning on going back to Mexico, San Pancho, sometime in October. So she's here 6 months, and their 6 months is the plan. And I know I'm giving a shout out to Michelle. So, but this is a very intimate conversation, very community oriented talk today. So we're looking for some housing for her for the next 6 months or sooner. I'm very excited about the work that she and Miguel have done in Mexico, starting a group and persisting in spite of obstacles, language, and the virus and so forth. And I'm giving the group a name there, Pema Shantinling de San Pancho. So it means Pema is like Padma, which refers to Padmasambhava, and Samten is the Tibetan word for meditation, and Ling is the place, and de San Pancho is the town named after San Francisco. So that's a big deal. I'd like to stop here and have a little bit of discussion because we may only go for another half an hour. And oh yes, I forgot that I sent out an email saying I was willing to do an Abhidharma class. In the Buddha Dharma study program, I didn't put it as one of the requirements because Abhidharma is extremely difficult and people tend to get lost in the weeds. And but now we have some more translations: Abhidharma Kosha, Abhidharma Samutaya, and some nice supplementary text. So I might do a class for the Buddha Dharma students, and just for that one class, allow some extra people to come in. But it'll be difficult. So you'll hear more about that. Oma. Yes, let's unmic and have a short discussion.
Hi, Lama, it's Dirk. In the arts segment of the 5 sciences, is that only visual arts, or does that include music, dance, poetry, and such?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Yeah. So, music and dance, really important. Of course, there's sacred dance, cham sometimes, and they're the musical instruments, but people are expected to be musical and dance so that we create a peaceful, wonderful environment. Yes, thank you. So we need some more dance parties when we open up, don't we?
Conventional words.
Pardon me?
With conventional words.
Yeah, with conventional words.
Submit your poetry online.
Yes. So, and poetry obviously is welcome.
Lama, this is Karen. I have a question.
Yes.
When I look at these five sciences, is it that the people are supposed to have valid cognitions, or is that more like the study of what a valid
That's the
cognition?
study. Yeah. That's the
The study.
study. Yeah. So these are all aspirations, right, and trainings that we meet to various degrees, right? Yeah, good question.
Included in the inner science of mind, though?
This, when it's saying valid cognition, it's talking really about like study. Like, so we're reading, you know, we're getting definitions and we're doing epistemology. So it's kind of like getting our tools organized, getting our toolbox organized, learning how to use our tools even before we look at the subject matter. So
Okay,
it's,
thank you.
yeah, good question.
Lama, I'm a little confused on the difference between number 1 and number 5. Could you like separate those out somehow?
The inner science of mind, you know, is really dealing with the nature, you know, looking at it. So valid cognition is a little bit like you're learning how to, like if you were working in a wood shop, which I used to, you know, you're learning how to use the tool. Like, here's how the bandsaw works, and here's, you know, here's how the planer works, and here's how not to cut your hand off, and here's how to use a chisel properly, and you know, those kinds of things, which are absolutely necessary. Sometimes people jump into disciplines before they learn anything, right? You know, before sometimes people, you know, start doing massage before they know anything about anatomy, for example. So generally, in all the disciplines, we learn a little bit of the basic situation and learn the basic tools before we engage, right? So it's like that. So the inner science is really learning, you know, how to meditate, and uses the intellect, but we've already known the basic, we already got the basic tools down. And as people know, so much of in the Buddha Dharma study program is getting familiar with, you know, a special kind of language, right? You know, it's translated from Sanskrit sometimes to Tibetan to English now. And it's a specialized language, just like we have specialized languages for all kinds of disciplines. Does that make sense?
It does. It seems like one's more based in like thought and understanding, and one's in practice.
I don't like separating things, and you know, practice is everything. So this is really learning how to use the tools. So this is like learning how to drive. We don't want you, I don't want you on the road if you don't know how to drive the car, or if you're driving drunk. So valid cognition is like just learning how to use the basic tools at our disposal. But then the inner science is, you know, what are we going to pay attention to, right? Like that.
Okay, thank you.
You know, that's all practice, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is hi Lama, is the goal to be or to strive for excellence in all of these, or to be well-rounded and experience them?
Well, yes to both.
Yeah. Yeah, we really want competency, right? You know, at least we have competency. So we want to be good enough, right? We want to be good enough. We're not, you know, like
we're not all going to be Mozarts if we're composers, right? We're like that. So, but we could carry a tune, right? Something. Yeah. So it's based on our bodhicitta, our bodhisattva vow, and we all have different capacities. Some people are real scholars, and you know, some people are real artists. But we should have it's basically a liberal arts education is what we're talking about in the Nalanda idea. Hi.
I know who it is.
I see a tree behind you. That's wonderful. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well-rounded is important. Yeah. I mean, we're going to, in a sense, I mean, we have to do inner science because we could study the like chemical nature of water, right? And could know a lot about hydrology, but really we want to know what water tastes like, right? But since we have a hydrologist listening, it really helps to have certain knowledge, you know, just about how water works and how to uncontaminate water. And, you know, so just somebody who said, well, I know what water is and how to drink it wouldn't help resolve the water issues of California, right? So we need both kinds of knowledge. You have to know how hot the kiln has to be, right? That's going to be valid cognition.
Hi, Lama. I have a similar question. So I was thinking about how I do my art process and where I'm not necessarily interested in the product, but the process itself is when I'm learning and really engaging. And so I'm wondering what you think about the sciences. Are we really focused on the process versus product, or is that too kind of simplistic of a binary?
Well, we need both, right? You want competence in both. So, like, just same metaphor, you know, kind of boring, but you know, I want competent drivers on the road, right? Just stay in your lane and don't hit me, right? And get to where you want to go. So, you know, the process would be, I really enjoy driving up Highway 1, but we also want to be safe and we want to get to where we're going. So if you're driving, you know, north on Highway 1 to Lala or something like that, you want to get there, you want to be safe, and you want to enjoy yourself, right? Those three things, they should all come together. So we want to have ground, path, and fruition.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Sure. Someone else is waiting. I don't know how it works.
Hi, Lama. This is Andrea.
Hi.
Hey, I just saw a question pop up in the chat feature.
Yeah.
I thought was really good from Smadar.
Okay.
I don't know if they want to say that question out loud or if you want me to read it.
Oh, I could. This is Smadar. I didn't realize I hadn't turned my internal mic on or something like that. So, yeah, I was curious because I saw that this talk was called, you know, how the community benefits from individual investigation. So I was just curious, you know, if these 5 sciences were selected with a specific community benefit in mind. Were there other things that were considered, but these 5 were thought to be particularly important for a community?
These disciplines are always done in community. So of course we're individuals, but you have to learn all these with other people. Okay, so these are the absolute structures to get along with someone else and get along in the community. So it sounds like, of course, there is more to this, but these are like structures. So when we broaden the vision out to a Kala Chakra Shambhala vision, then of course we're adding a whole bunch of bodhisattva activity to these disciplines. But these are the basic disciplines to become a useful person and not make it worse. So Hinayana practice is don't make it worse, right? do no harm, and Mahayana is to develop, to become a professional helper like that. So these disciplines have to be done with other people and in community, and these become then, so you're a trained bodhisattva, and you can use that bodhisattva training for, of course, community at large, social justice and economic and political freedom, and have an enjoyable life where people are liberated and getting along, and that's the Shambhala vision. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. That's very insightful.
Yeah. So we know that for people to be able to live in community, they have to be healthy, and there has to be a general ability to have discourse, and education is key. So, of course, these are, broadly speaking, all educational disciplines, right? Learn how to actually be a functioning human being. And then, when we add all the other bodhisattva practices, then we're talking about compassionate community or enlightened society. But a big part of bodhisattva training is at least having some training, some professionalism, to not go in there and make it worse like that. So as a therapist too, I try to have enough knowledge and enough expertise to not make it worse. I know James knows what I'm talking about, because it actually takes a lot of skill not to make it worse. So not making it worse is maybe like 95%, and then if we got through that barrier, which takes a lot of professionalism, then the extra 5% can really, really be effective. Yeah. It is an important question, like, well, what good is all this study? Why aren't we doing more? But we should be doing more, but we want to be professionals like that. Anyway, there's a lot to be said on that. I think Jackie's going to give another talk on justice and community, aren't you, Jackie?
Yes, I think so. And I know Patty told me that my next talk in August was going to be about training and practicing while away from the Sangha, at least in distance.
Yeah. Cool.
Lama, this is Andrea again.
Hi.
Hey, so I have a follow-up question to what you just shared with us about Smadar's question. So it seems like if we want to create a harmonious society, in that belief, is it assumed that everybody's going to want to do these things, or that we need to persuade people to want to do these 5 sciences?
I'm not trying to persuade anybody to do anything, but this training is for people that want to be professional helpers. So we're not going to go bashing the head saying, you got to read the Abhidharma Kosha and meditate. Most people in the world, they just want to get through their lives, right? And they don't want to be harmed. They don't want to be restricted, right? They want to pursue happiness as they see fit. So as bodhisattvas, we're interested in that, right? We're not trying to necessarily make people believe anything we do, but we're training to be, teachers and helpers or healers, right? That's the goal of the temple, you know. So it doesn't do. I mean, we're not training to be arhats, right? In the Mahayana sense, arhats. It's a good term, actually. It means foe destroyer in Tibetan, but the idea is that we're not just after our own individual liberation. The Mahayana liberation is definitely involving others. But that doesn't mean we have to make others think that we do. We're just there to help. If teaching is helpful, that's good. If just, you know, helping with medicine is good. If just helping with food is good. So we don't have to get everyone meditating. It's hard enough teaching people who want to meditate, want to wake up, right? It's
Sure.
it's hard enough helping those that want to be helped. Isn't that so, James?
Absolutely.
It's hard, even helping those people. The highest, of course, is those people that want to be helped and can be helped, right? So, you know, it's very, you know, so definitely we're trying for that. But even bodhisattvas, we're willing to be helpful for those people that don't want to be helped and can't be helped. We're just still trying to be present, you know. But it's hard work, yeah. So we need a lot of inspiration and discipline as professionals, and we need each other, you know. We need our bodhisattva consult group, right? This is how I'm thinking today. This is my bodhisattva consult group. Like that.
That sounds really wonderful to be able to support each other that way,
Yeah.
and to not have to worry about taking on the weight of the world, so to speak, and just do what shows up for us, you know, meet what shows up for us, and that is enough.
Yeah, but we can go looking for it too, you know. Of course, we can go looking like, where am I needed? What can I help with, right? It's random showing up, but we also, bodhisattvas go around. We're a little bit busybodies. So we're going to go, okay, where does it hurt? Where can I help too?
I think the whole idea of like being a Renaissance person and expanding out in all these directions simultaneously creates an interest of people around us too, because we're having a good time, right? I mean, if you're totally connected to all these aspects of humanity and yourself and nature, it's kind of exciting. It's not boring at all, because things just totally expand out from there in consciousness. And I think if we're living a life like that, people can't help but be interested in what the heck we're doing, right? And I don't think there's any need to try to convert or explain or anything else somebody that doesn't seem particularly interested. But if they come up and they ask and they have a block, you know, then hopefully we've connected with their language system and their way of looking at things, so that we can speak to their heart and maybe bypass whatever it is that's really the impediment or the obscuration to moving that next step forward. Because I mean, people get frozen in time, they get frozen in their body, they get frozen in trauma. And when they start to awaken, it's just kind of like this radiant blast in every direction.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. And of course, when we're talking about inner science and we're talking about generating bliss and generating blissful wisdom. So the bodhisattva practice isn't, we're not glum helpers. Bodhisattvas, of course, are human beings and get discouraged too, but by and large, we're promoting bliss-filled wisdom. So that probably should be just a total separate talk, like how bodhisattvas who are helping others and suffering with others are still generating an incredible sense of bliss. But basically, you know, there's different kinds of bliss. We in Tantra also are fine with regular pleasurable bliss too, but one of the descriptions of bliss for the first bodhisattva, Bhumi of joy, is the bliss of actually being helpful, right? So it feels great to feel competent and like we have something to offer. So the bliss isn't the liberation bliss. It's for Bodhisattva Bhumi exclusively. It's knowing it's the bliss of a meaningful life. We can be helpful. But we need a separate talk on bliss and tantra at some point. We can have a
your encouragement.
yeah, sure.
Lama, could you say more about the what you were saying about teaching? Like, what does that actually look like? I guess, like besides helping in general ways, like
Teaching is just thanks, Ashley. Teaching is just basically giving accurate information and what's helpful. So sometimes people in new to Buddha Dharma a little bit too unnecessarily self-effacing or humble. You know, if we have some information or some insights that are helpful to others, we're sharing them, right? So that's teaching. There are levels of teaching, of course, you know, but if we're just teaching someone, you know, how to wash a dish, that's teaching, right? That might, you know, just very simple things bodhisattvas do, just being helpful and teaching and sharing what they know. So that's why I've asked people to, if they're interested in becoming meditation instructors, to actually have some technical knowledge and insight into the view, at least through shamatha, and we can give accurate information about that, right? So there are many skillful ways to teach, but to withhold something that's helpful when we could give it is actually breaking a bodhisattva precept. So it's funny. So teaching someone, pushing something on someone or teaching something when they're not ready is breaking a precept. But likewise, if you know something and you can be helpful and you withhold it, then that's breaking a bodhisattva precept. So if someone asks you for directions, you just give them directions, right? What do you think? Yeah, so bodhisattvas too, we're kind of out, you know, if somebody says, are you doing some meditation practice, or, you know, are you Buddhist? You know, if it's appropriate, we say yes. If it's harmful to them or dangerous, we can say no, but, you know, we don't hide out. If it's beneficial to say, yeah, here's what I do, and I'm not super great, but here's what I do, and it might be helpful, and we share it. Yay, that's good. Good question. Yeah. Just saying, you know, just telling people, you know, here's an easier way to cook. That's bodhisattva practice. That's a craft. That's an art, right? I must be getting hungry. I'm thinking about lunch. So. All right, thank you. Yeah. Who hasn't shared or asked a question? Who never asks or shares the question? Since I can't see people, I can't put them on the spot. You know, that's very very traditional. Where in a informal teaching session like this, the Lama would call on people. You know. Well, Patty's raising her hand, but how are we going to get her on here? She's going to sit in with Matthew. Yeah. So there's some people I probably don't even know, right? There's some people I've never met, so hope to meet you all.
Lama, you can look at the people who are in the meeting by clicking on that little icon of people.
Yeah.
and you can see everybody who's there and call somebody out.
I'm really in a nice mood. I will, yeah, so it might be, let's see who.
Don't worry, Dirk. I'm scrolling the people.
Yeah, so I don't know, but it'd be really nice to say hi to Catherine. Catherine is there. You came to the meeting. Kate, you came to the meeting, so say hi. Are you there? Catherine Wergen, you got to be there.
Some people may not have microphones or want to be.
She's
recorded.
here, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, welcome. Yeah, she's trying to figure out how to do it, which is...
Okay, I think I did it. Did I do it?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was panicking. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to think I'm not really here. Then I just turned it on and walked away. I'm here.
Yeah, so thank you for your bodhisattva work, you know.
Oh, I don't know how good I'm doing it right now, but you're welcome.
So I've gotten fond of doing this kind of interaction because sometimes we hear from more people that we normally wouldn't, who don't want to like talk up in a group. So when we get back in the temple sometime this summer, then maybe we'll keep doing both. I haven't worked out the technology yet, but so would you look forward to doing that? To still coming on, you know, this way too, no matter what? You'd listen in whether you're there in person, in other words, and you'd share whether you're there in person. Difficult question. Okay, Jackie said yes and Dell said yes. Yeah, okay. Noelle saying both. Yeah, Susan saying both. Yeah. We should probably close up pretty quickly. Catherine, are you still there? She muted, okay. So is there anybody else that would like to say hello? I like calling people out, but then I know, like, oh no. Hi, Hillary. Say hi to Hillary in Albuquerque. Hi. Call me later. Yeah. We have a very strong group, and I'm delighted that people have hung in there. There's a lot of questions about when we're going to reopen the temple. It'll be this summer, but I want to be consistent with what other temples and Dharma centers and churches are doing so that we follow protocol as much as we can. And we have to figure out how many people can be in the Gompa and what the requirements are. I drove by the Greek Orthodox Church, and they've got to stand out in front before you go in with, you know, mask up and disinfect and so forth. So we can learn from others, but I'm also interested in just having the rug cleaned, you know, so we come back and things are very clean and ready to go. So, you know, please hang in there. So should we have one, is anybody last voice, and then we can close? I think we're going to do, we're going to have a book club discussion at 12:30. What's interesting about this book is the Dalai Lama goes quite deep, and always has some interesting things when people have asked him point blank. I think one of the really useful, profound aspects of the Dalai Lama's teaching is how he is able to talk from a variety of different approaches. And Particularly the Dalai Lama has always had a strong interest in how the different approaches in highest yoga tantra from the new translation schools and the Dzogchen teachings from old translation and Nyingma schools, work together. This is quite something I'm very interested in, and my personal teacher, Geshe Ridron, was who encouraged me to study both Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And I'd like to keep presenting these teachings, so I do look forward to doing more retreats. And please pray to Guru Rinpoche so that the obstacles to the sickness and for us able to do retreats can be removed as much as possible. Om Ahong. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, dedication. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel, bodhicitta, that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish, and may the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all vibrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losam, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate vibrators. Please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire house of auras. Sankalpa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages. Lasandakpa, I make request at your holy feet. Oh, okay. The verses that saved Sakya from sickness, a prayer for pacifying the fear of disease. May all diseases that disturb the minds of sentient beings and which result from karma and temporary conditions, such as the harms of spirits, illness, and the elements, never occur throughout the realms of the world. May whatever sufferings arise due to life-threatening diseases, which, like a butcher leading an animal to the slaughter, separate the body from the mind in a mere instant, never occur throughout the realms of this world. May all embodied beings remain unharmed by acute, chronic, and infectious diseases, the names of which can inspire the same terror as would be felt in the jaws of Yama, Lord of Death. May the 80,000 classes of harmful obstructors, the 360 evil spirits that harm without warning, the 404 types of diseases, and so forth, never cause harm to any embodied being. May whatever sufferings arise due to disturbances in the four elements, depriving the body and mind of every pleasure, be totally pacified, and may the body and mind have radiance and power, and be endowed with long life, good health, and well-being. By the compassion of the Gurus and the three jewels, the power of the Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians, and by the strength of the infallibility of karma and its results, may these many dedications and prayers be fulfilled as soon as they are made. Okay. Thank you. Tashi Delek.
Wonderful seeing everybody